Well, here we go again. I was all set to go to bed and I made the mistake of reading the news. Trump was threatening to take over Panama and Greenland and Canada, and now he's raised the level. Um, President-elect Donald Trump uh, refused on Tuesday to rule out the use of, that's kind of a backhanded way to put this, refused to rule out the use of military or economic coercion to force Panama to give up control of the canal that America built more than a century ago and to push Denmark to sell Greenland to the United States. I, I'm sorry, what was that again? You want to use the military to take over Greenland and Panama? And economic coercion to force Canada into being a 51st state? So I guess Trump really is taking lessons from Putin. Putin is doing his best to take over Ukraine. I hope that doesn't work. Although, with Trump's attitude, he and Putin could join together and take over a bunch of places. I just hope that we as a population in the United States don't have the political will to take over other nations. We need to learn how to get along on this planet. It's all nice and well to think about colonizing Mars and the moon. But the fact of the matter is, we are not capable of doing those things yet. And even if we are, we could mess up this planet a whole lot worse than it is, and it'd still be easier to live here than it would be the moon or Mars. But I would rather we didn't mess it up worse. So, in a rambling hour-long news conference, Mr. Trump repeatedly returned to the theme of American sacrifice in building the canal and accused China, falsely, of operating it today. I suppose China's paying their fees along with us. Maybe China's paying more fees because they're shipping an awful lot of cargo to the United States. But operating the canal? That's a long shot there, Donald. When pressed on the question of whether he might order the military to force Panama to give it up in violation of treaties and other agreements reached during the Carter administration, or to do the same with Greenland, he said, "No, I can't assure you on either of those two." So this is all a backhanded conversation where nobody actually says the thing, especially not Trump. But he's just giving you the hint that he would do it. We need them for economic security. We do not. The Panama Canal was built for our military. Well, might have been a primary motivation, but look what it's become today. It's become a corridor for the entire world. A world that needs a Panama Canal, not a U.S.-controlled canal. If the U.S. controls the canal and there's no international treaties keeping the canal open to other traffic, then you could just say the U.S. just can shut the canal down anytime they please. That's not a very friendly world to live in, is it? I don't think Donald Trump is interested in making a very friendly world to live in. I would like to live in a friendly world. I'm not too happy about Donald making a takeover world. Asked again if he would rule out the use of military force, he said, "I'm not going to commit to that. You might have to do something." You who? He's talking to the reporters, isn't he? What would the reporters have to do? Report again? Mr. Trump's statement propelled his repeated calls for expanding American territory to a new level. Indeed, a very unfriendly level. Yes, one that is bound to roil three American allies: Panama, Denmark, which handles Greenland's foreign and security affairs, and Canada, which he has mocked as America's 51st state. Now listen, we in Canada have both had a habit of making fun of each other. We make fun of each other's currency. We make fun of each other's language. We call each other sort of friendly, poke your other guy in the eye, sort of put downs. Sometimes maybe they go too far. I don't know. I think the vast majority of people in the United States like Canadians, and maybe the other way is also. But, that can only continue if we're friendly. And we've had a nice big border with Canada, and it's been pretty easy for us American and Canadian citizens to go back and forth without too much trouble. Because it's friendly. It needs to remain friendly, Donald. You're making it less friendly. That is no fun. Stop being an asshole. Greenland is just a peaceful, pretty, nice place. Why would you mess with those guys? It doesn't make any sense. Plus, you're talking about Canada as a 51st state. You do realize that Canada has a buttload of territories that are individual territories. Kind of like states, in the United States, there's about 10 of them. You'd have to have the 51st to the 60th state if you're thinking about Canada joining. It's just preposterous. And by the way, I don't know if you know this, Donald, but Canada has the kind of health care that we ought to have. Do you think Canada would still have the kind of health care that we ought to have if Canada became states of the United States? Does that make any sense? We should just try to be more like Canada than to try to take over Canada. You have 34 in a list of developed nations, 33 of which have universal health care. And the 34th one, the United States, does it. Maybe they know something we don't. Healthcare is good. If you have healthy citizens, they can work harder. They can live longer. They can pay taxes longer. They can be friendlier. But you don't want friendly. I know. You just want to take over stuff. On Tuesday, made clear, though, that he was not joking, suggesting that Canada if Canada remained a sovereign state, the financial cost of its trading relationship with the United States could be crushing. Do not approve. Do not approve. Perhaps Mr. Trump was posturing for negotiating advantage, yet not since the days of William McKinley, who engaged in the Spanish-American War in the late 19th century and ended up with U.S. control of the Philippines, Guam, and Puerto Rico, has an American president-elect so blatantly threatened the use of force to expand the country's territorial boundaries. Maybe you recall in a previous video, I didn't think too kindly about the way we treat Puerto Rico with their power outages. We should take care of Puerto Rico. I don't know what Guam and the Philippines are doing for their power. Are their power grids in as much trouble? I don't know. I hadn't checked that out. But if we can't take care of Puerto Rico, I don't see how in the hell we're going to take care of Greenland, Panama, Canada. It was a reminder that Mr. Trump's definition of America First is anything but isolationist. Yeah. He comes to American foreign policy with the mind of a real estate developer. That's not your real estate, Donald. Those are sovereign nations that you don't control and shouldn't control. With your penchant for grabbing territory. It's not your territory. It shouldn't be. He insisted he would not be deterred by the treaty signed with Panama. What the hell good is a treaty if you're not deterred from taking over it? Treaties are agreements that we're, gonna do this thing in peace and such. Treaty signed with Panama was ratified by the Senate in 1978, 62 to 32. 68 to 32. Just beyond the two-thirds vote required by the Constitution. So, yeah, if you can get a two-thirds vote on something, you probably should let that stand. He asserted that the return of control to the canal to Panama was a bad idea. I disagree, arguing that he was reluctant to say so while the nation was burying former President Jimmy Carter, who negotiated the deal. But not for long. Then he returned repeatedly to criticizing Mr. Carter's judgment. He was a very fine person, but that was a big mistake. No, it wasn't. It was the right thing to do. It's Panama territory. It cost us the equivalent of $1 trillion. I don't know that. What did it cost in 1978? I don't know. I think you doubled the deficit while you were in office last time, Mr. Trump. Speaking of trillions, I won't be surprised if you double the deficit again. And it's going to be trillions. It's not going to have anything to do with Panama. You just watch. On Canada, Mr. Trump, when pressed, threatened to use economic force. Not friendly. Yeah, he wants to buy less Canadian products. I just don't know. I read through the rest of this, and I'm tired of it. Okay, it's gonna be, it's this whole article is more of the same. Once again, talking about pressuring all the NATO members into making sure they're spending at least 2% on the military. Trump said, I would love to have said, yes, we'll protect you even if you don't pay, but that's not the way life works. Well, maybe it does, or maybe it should. Maybe all the rich folks who are buying all those products across the world as cheaply as they can should protect those areas making those products. You'd hate to have to protect China, though, wouldn't you? Boy, we sure are buying a lot of products from China. Do you think we're going to buy less products from China when you raise the tariffs on China? Well, I don't know where all the DVD players and computers and iPhones and on and on and on and on. The product list is endless. I don't know where those things are going to come from. Do you think we're just going to make a factory for all that stuff here in the United States? You think raising tariffs will force us to make a bunch more factories to make all that stuff in the United States? You know, Trump, you're some kind of a businessman. I'm not so sure you're a good one, but you do realize that if the labor here is not cheap enough, that companies will outsource to cheaper labor, right? Or have you forgotten how to run your business? Wonder if you ever did. There's billionaires with a lot more billions than you, Donald. Anyway, down below, we're going to talk about Hamas and, all that crap. Oh, by the way, Justin Trudeau is, Prime Minister of Canada, is resigning. After Mr. Trump responded to the resignation of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau on Monday by writing on social media that many people in Canada love being the 51st state. I bet they don't. Mr. Brimmer noted in a post on X that American imperialism is so back. There's more. There's so much more. I just can't put it all in this one because I was going to bed, y'all, and now, what is it? 22 minutes later that I was going to go to bed, and now 22 minutes ago. So I'll see you next time. Love you. Bye.